Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You didn't say any of that right.
No, I didn't.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yes.
Or was it anti-church disestablishmentarianism?
That's brilliant. Okay, no, I would never remember that one.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Marital Issues, a podcast in which a husband and wife discuss comics, books, TV shows, films, games, anything really that comes to mind. I'm Tom, and with me as always is my wife and co-host Dee.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, wow, episode 5.
I know. That's quite a...
That means we've got through the first month.
That's true.
You're suddenly a lot louder than you were a minute ago.
Well, we're done. Maybe, did I just move forward like that?
I think you did.
Maybe.
I think you leaned. So yeah, first month out the way.
First month out the way.
So
we've done really well, I think.
Yeah.
Some good topics.
You were saying just beforehand you were really quite impressed by that.
Yeah, I am. 5 episodes, and we've kept momentum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've managed to do the things we said we'd want to do for this particular podcast, and so far we've picked what we believe are interesting topics to us, and hopefully you guys have gotten to know us a little bit as well.
And we got to watch Creed.
Yes, we did. Like, the best thing we've done so far is watch Creed. Amazing, amazing movie.
Well, that's been the highlight of the first month.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the biggest highlight of the first month.
And I think at the end of this month we finally watched. We're doing Filth. Yeah. Kind of been dragging my heels on this.
Yeah.
But we should probably explain as well. We're recording these a little in advance.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah, I mean, you might have got that from the first episode because it was 18th of March we recorded that, and it aired on May 6th.
Yeah.
So because we're moving at the end of this month, but we had a schedule. We wanted to keep to our schedule. We didn't want the fact that we were moving
kind of get in the way
disrupt
of it.
that because so often we have plans and then life gets in the way, and because of that we're just like, oh well, we'll just the next time
but the thing is, the next time never comes.
Yeah, so
and then it just ends up in this, in the back of your mind, in that little cupboard at the back of your mind.
It's like a niggle at the back of your mind, like, oh, I should really go back to that.
Yeah, and we never do.
So
it's really hard.
Yeah, so it's just as a way to make sure we didn't miss our timetable, our opportunity.
It's just
we
about
did these in
taking
advance. So I think by about episode 8, I imagine we'd be doing these a lot more closer to release time. So
I think so.
They can be a little bit more sort of
they'll probably be
topical.
A bit more current. As current as we can make it to be.
Yeah, we can actually start talking about those news stories, those breaking news stories that we discuss off air. Yeah.
That's true.
But that's also why our Patreon at the moment is very basic. We're going to, once we're settled into the new place, we can start adding extra tiers. We have a lot of ideas for the other tiers, so for now it's a very basic thing. Yeah, that's why our YouTube channel as well. Both our YouTube channels have been a little bit dormant the last kind of 6 weeks or so. That's also, but once we're settled into the new flat, we have a lot of really cool ideas that we've been working on for a while, so that should
hopefully come to fruition while we're there. I mean, there's lots of changes coming in between all of that as well, which we'll obviously keep you updated with.
I love when we're talking about progress. The word that comes out of your mouth the most is fruition. Fruition.
I like that word.
It's such a lovely word as well, but I love how frequently that word comes out. It's like fruition. Apparently, I was told the other day at work, I use the word quagmire quite often.
No.
To describe, shitty situations and stuff, or shitty personalities. Apparently, I use the word quagmire quite frequently.
That actually sounds very much you, though.
Yeah, I love that word, though. It's such a great word.
The same with me. I like fruition. I think that's a great word. It's so, like you said, it's so sweet and scentful. Like, you can smell it.
It's got like I know what it means. But it's fruition is about like it's like blossoming.
Exactly.
Fruition. It just sounds like a growth. It sounds like something blooming. Fruition.
Isn't that what we're hoping for, though? Just like,
Yeah.
So I think it's a perfect word to use at this moment in time.
But what have you been up to this week?
Well, I did my homework.
You did your homework.
I
You
did.
read Black Summer.
I
noticed
did.
you have quite a lot, extensive notes on your notepad there. So I have a feeling you have quite a lot to say on the subject.
I do. I mean, I know you recommended it to me, and I know you.
I didn't really recommend it. I kind of
made me read it.
I afflicted it on you.
Look, it's definitely a comic of its time. It's definitely like the late 90s, early noughties.
It was mid to late noughties. It was that sort of peak George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's better. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little about it.
So it's basically about a group of superheroes that have gone into hiding now.
Oh, spoilers for everything we talk about.
They've all gone into hiding now. One's lost his
kind
girlfriend.
Of Watchmen-esque.
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah. And one's lost his girlfriend and lost his legs. The others live on some other dimension. And then you've got someone called John Horace. There's 7 of them all together.
And then there's John.
And then so they're called the 7 Guns. That's what they're called, the 7 Guns.
Mm-hmm. And
so by now there's only 6 left. And then you've got John Horace. John Horace then goes in and basically goes on national TV and declares that he's killed the president, which he did. And
John Horace, the guy in white.
Yeah, he's the guy in white.
Okay.
So, but there's loads and loads of flashbacks about each individual character. And the one thing I didn't really like about this book is that I didn't really gel with the characters.
You just didn't care. There's no one. Yeah, that was my problem with it. There was no one really to kind of. There were no sympathetic characters.
No, they were all arseholes.
Yeah.
They're all basic arseholes. Like, they've all got issues. They've all got their own various reasons for being superheroes. Some are quite noble.
But none of them are likable.
No, not really. They don't
have a likable quality.
No.
It's not like, hey, there's the fun one and stuff. Yeah. It's just like none of them have any likable qualities.
None of them do. No, you hate them.
Did you find that there was a point where the book started to feel like hard work?
Yeah. It did. Like I said, there's so many flashbacks, and trying to keep up with what happened and how they got there with what is happening and how they got there. It's too much. It is based on the wars and whether or not we had the right. Well, whether or not America had the right to go there. I mean, there is a specific line in the book that actually says it.
Yeah, it's very on the nose political commentary. I found one of the things, I don't know if you noticed this, but one of the things that really put me off of that book as well was there are a lot of splash pages with the female characters. Yes. And they always felt like they were being drawn, like when they drew it was drawn from the crotch out. Yeah, I can see that. It was one of the first things I noticed. Hang on, I'm just going to try and find an example. Not that anybody can see. I mean, that wasn't exactly something I was looking at. No, but that's the thing, though. I think because it's drawn for the male gaze, the male gaze notices it. Yeah, I guess so. There's one in particular near the beginning. Hang on. I'll try and edit as much of this out as I can. And a lot of it feels like violence for violence sake. Yeah, they do. There is a lot of violence in this. A lot of bloodshed as well, even after they've declared... Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. And there's a lot of stuff like that. There's one where she's getting off her bike or something like that, and it's like, bam! Yeah, no, I know. Here is my arse and crotch. Look. Yeah, it's. Yeah, politically it is very much on the nose, and it's definitely it's very heavy-handed. Yeah, it is. And they're also, well, we shouldn't have fought in that war because we should have taken him down during the first one. And the story, where did I get to in the story? So John Horace, he's now killed the president and declares that he wants them to hold elections, fair and free elections, because the last president was corrupt. Because of that whole thing of like how Bush got the presidency, and all, the whole administration is corrupt. It's like Michael Moore. It is very Michael Moore-esque. I'd have to completely agree with that. It's
So yeah, and again, it's very heavy-handed and put in there, and the whole society is corrupt. And,
but this is the problem. I mean, at the time, it probably felt very sort of salient and things. But when you can have like broad political satire, those kind of like general themes that occur very frequently within political history, and those like look at. Like Watchmen, for example, but really any Alan Moore. He does like these very broad political commentaries. So as a result, his books are sort of timeless in that sense. I mean, V for Vendetta. I mean, as well, if you look at like 1984, and that's every time someone reads 1984, they look at the world around them and they're like, well, shit. But this is a very specific political commentary, and it becomes very dated.
It is really dated.
Because there are politically leaning fictions that were making commentary on a very specific thing, but it wasn't like finger pointing.
No,
it was metaphor. I mean, if you look at like this, A Scanner Darkly. Yeah, that was very specifically about LSD and and how it was being flooded into the streets, and then how users were being punished unfairly for it. Rather than rehabilitation, they were going into incarceration. And then, but that story, it's timeless because that problem keeps coming up. But this is just very kind of. I read it in 2009.
Right, okay.
So, Barack Obama had just been elected. So this was very much sort of like, oh, hey, that's who, goodbye, George W. Bush, goodbye.
End of that era.
Yeah, but even at that point in 2009, it felt dated already. It's like reading last week's newspaper.
Yeah, completely. Well, okay, let's spin through everything and just get to the end of the actual book. Basically, there's a guy called Frank. Frank is the person that made these 7 superheroes.
Right. And
he's the one that killed Tom, who is our main protagonist, and all he wants to do is die. In the whole thing, he just hides away, is an alcoholic. It was his missus that was killed in this bombing, and Frank was the one that caused this bombing. And Tom obviously finds out, and then exactly. And then, the government are now after all these superheroes because the government associate them with John Horus, who obviously killed the president.
So it's basically this whole idea of like one of them did something bad, so now the government is after all of them.
It's like saying,
I wonder what sort of commentary they're making there.
Yes, again,
it is very heavy-handed.
See, exactly.
So are you glad you read it, or do you kind of hate me a little now?
I don't hate you for the fact that I read it. It didn't appeal to me, and that's it. It just didn't appeal to me. It's not my. It's dated. It's heavy-handed. It's boring in places. It's there's too much gore for gore's sake, and the ending is, like I said, right. Well, Tom.
The ending is a bit kind of. Bleh.
Yeah, it is. Tom basically.
Tom
gets John and Frank together because Tom. Before it all happens, Tom pretends to surrender himself to the government and makes them kill him, or apparently kill him, and then Frank goes after John in somewhere, and Tom's there, Ex Machina comes in and blows all 3 of them up together, and that's it, the end. And that's basically what happened, and the rest of them, you don't really care what's going on.
How did you feel after you read it? Did you feel like, oh, finally I'm at the end, or like, did you want to read more? Or?
I definitely didn't want to read it. No, it's definitely not something I would read or reread.
See, this is it as well. As a comic book fan, everyone I know fawns over Warren Ellis. And somebody bought this for me when I was getting back into comics, like I mentioned 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because we didn't record these podcasts in order. Somebody bought this for me when I was getting back into comics, so I hadn't really read any Warren Ellis. Now, whenever the name Warren Ellis comes up and everyone's like, "Oh, Warren Ellis," all I can think of is this monstrosity.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a very good
introduction to Warren Ellis.
So
look, if I'm honest, I've never heard of Warren Ellis. So wait, maybe I have read something of his, but and not known it. But now that you've said that he's written other stuff, maybe reading something else might, I don't know, make me think. But forget this book, just completely forget it.
Yeah, because I've been tempted to buy more Warren Ellis, but then...
Have you been burned by this?
Yeah, this really burned me on Warren Ellis. I'll give... Maybe that's it. Maybe my homework for myself should be to
read a bit more Warren Ellis.
Yeah,
I can't talk. I told you this earlier. So here we go. What have you been up to then?
Well...
Yeah.
Since yesterday... in real time was Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
I watched and it was released on Netflix, I watched the first episode of Lost in Space.
Ooh!
And I have to say, I really, really liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I really liked it. It's very tense. But it's not like that sort of intense tense.
It's a Netflix series?
Yeah, it's a Netflix series, so it's all on there now. I watched the first episode and like a few minutes of the second episode, but then realised how close I was to getting home because I was watching it on my Kindle.
Oh, okay. Was it better watching it on your Kindle?
No, it wasn't better watching it on my Kindle.
Because you had that issue with...
But the difference was because of the colour palette and things, it's much easier to watch something like that on my Kindle than it is to watch something like Stranger Things on my Kindle.
Brighter.
Yeah, you can actually... There's contrast between... but it's really good. The acting is fantastic. The boy who plays Will, the little boy, he's so good. He is so... I mean, everyone in there is so good, but John, the dad, and Will, the son, they have great chemistry.
Right.
And they're just really solid actors. I found out afterwards that the guy who plays John Robinson, that's Toby Stephens, he's actually British. And I'm sure I've seen him in something. I still can't figure out what I've seen him in.
Okay.
The acting, like I said, the cast's really good. Who's it? And it does that whole flashback present thing.
Oh, okay.
So it starts with them moments before they crash land. Moments before something goes wrong. You don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong. And they crash land. So it happened. They're playing Go Fish in 0G.
Okay.
And then from there, they crash on a planet, and they've got to kind of figure out how to survive. And something horrendously bad happens. Basically, what happens is they land on this planet in like an icy tundra, and one of them gets frozen in the ice underwater in their sort of their suit.
Right.
And the episode is about how do they free them from this, while one of the other characters has a broken leg.
Oh no.
And so it's quite tense. But it appears that because it's done through flashback, there's a bit wider story going on. There's a lot of tension in the family because obviously it shows in the flashbacks that John is in the military. And he's spent a lot of time away from the family. The world is coming to an end. They have to, when they're out in the open, they have to wear like gas masks because something's just the environment's just destroyed. Yeah. So that's why they're going out into space. They're going out as part of they're like the 23rd expedition.
Right.
They're just sending
they're just
colonizers out into space to find a new home for them. And yeah, it's just everything's like a really cool spin on it. But there's a lot of hate.
Oh, why?
Toward this show. Well, one of the things is that the eldest daughter, Judy, in the TV series, Judy was... Because remember, the TV series was done in the 60s.
Yeah.
Now, they tried to reboot it a couple of times. It didn't work. But essentially, Judy... existed to be nothing more than just a sex symbol.
Oh, okay.
She was the sexy.
Okay.
She was the kind of barely legal daughter.
Right. Okay.
You know, she was and now they've got like a smart, because Judy was smart, but she was a bimbo, and she was just there to be rescued. To be rescued every other episode. But this, and funnily enough, it's Judy that requires rescuing in this, but she has so much more agency. But the problem they have most of all with her is that she's black.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of the reviews I read of this is the term PC gone mad was used quite frequently.
Why? Why?
Yeah, I know.
This is about saving. Isn't the beginning of this about saving humanity?
Yeah, essentially, you're watching a show in which they're trying to save humanity, and you have none of your own.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, look, for me, it doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah, ultimately, them sort of race bending the character does not add or take anything away from the show.
No.
If she was a bad actress,
that's a different thing.
if she was a bad actress, I'd have been annoyed by that. But I wouldn't have blamed that on the fact that she's black, which some of these reviews have done. For some reason, they correlate the fact that they don't like her as an actress, or they don't like the fact that they cast a black woman for this role to she can't act.
Yeah.
It's like, no, seriously, she can act. She can act. There was a bit, I'm sitting at the lunch table at work watching, because I have lunch after everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm halfway through my lunch and I'm just like welling up because of this one thing.
Oh my.
And I'm just like, okay. I'll watch this on my way home instead. And again, the kid who plays Will as well, he did that to me as well.
Oh, wow.
Because there's this really, I mean, speaking as a father.
Now that you can say that.
Speaking as a father, there's a bit where John has to decide between Will or Judy.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, but Judy's on a timetable. You know, she's on a clock. If they don't help her within in a certain amount of time, she will die. Whereas Will's situation isn't as dire. It's just it's a case of stay where you are. I will be back. And right there, I was like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. I gotta take a break from this. That was only halfway through that episode, and I'm already coming back to everyone going, guys, got to check out the new Lost in Space, because it came out that morning.
Right, okay.
Oh, and as well, Dr. Smith in this is now a woman.
Okay.
Because in the TV series, he was this sort of mincing old guy.
Right, okay.
And in the movie, it was Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Now they've done Parker Posey, I think her name is. Yeah, Parker Posey. But they kind of explain it in a way, because she's not actually Dr. Smith. The first time you see her, the real Dr. Smith dies in her arms.
Oh.
And she takes his jacket and ID and things. So yeah, Dr. Smith in this is a man, but Parker Posey has taken his identity.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's actually really smart.
Yeah.
What a great take of great
yeah,
way of doing that.
exactly. They didn't erase the character, the male Dr. Smith character. They just killed him and had somebody take his place.
That's do you know what, that kudos.
Yeah.
Definitely kudos. Love that.
And it's got a kind of Battlestar Galactica vibe to it, especially with the robot and the flashbacks, and there's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of stuff in there that I really want to talk about, but I can't because you haven't seen it, and because I really, really want you to watch it.
Right, okay.
So, yeah. As well, on top of all that, this week was the home release of Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So we got to see it a second time around now.
I'm nodding my head, and you can't see that. I should actually say yeah.
Because you just go,
That would just annoy you when you're editing, though.
Maybe not. Or I could entertain myself with it. Just go, But so regardless of what we thought about the film when we saw it at the cinema, everyone said like, oh, you got to see it twice to truly appreciate it? So we saw it the second time around.
Yes, we did see it the second time round. Is there an ending to that?
Do you truly appreciate it now?
Do you know what? Watching it at home, I preferred it to watching it at the cinema. I felt like I became more engrossed in the story this time round. I don't know, because it might have been because of the fact that I already knew what the story was. So I was just trying to look for maybe just confirmation of what I didn't like, but more than that, I actually found that I liked it more.
Right.
So yeah, watching it second time round made me appreciate The Last Jedi much more. Yeah. So one point I need to make on there about the Porgs. Now, people love them, and there are people that love them and people that hate them. But there's no point in us really talking about it, is there?
Well, yeah, no, I did a video, quite a nice, pretty cool video as well.
You did, indeed.
About the Porgs and why they exist, which I'll link down below. But essentially, the long and the short of it is that it involves a puffin sanctuary, and
I mean, there's a reason behind them,
and
basically.
Irish conservation laws and stuff like that. So they do serve a purpose, no matter how much they might annoy you. But whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I'll link that down below. But whatever. I mean, I know you loved it from the beginning. Yeah, I loved it as soon as we watched it. You remember, I came out of that cinema just going, I don't think it's the best Star Wars movie, but I think I had the best time watching it the first time around.
Right, fair enough.
You know, there are other Star Wars movies I prefer. I won't go into my ranking system right now because it changes constantly.
Yeah, it depends what movie.
Because for me, that's the thing. That's my love of Star Wars. That's how it works. I love different ones more at different times, depending on where my life's at or where my mood's at. I will love or hate. I never really hate. I don't actually hate any of the Star Wars movies.
I mean, you just have a lot less love for some of them.
Yeah, exactly. I have a lot less love for like the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
But I do like Attack of the Clones. I like Attack of the Clones more than most people like that film, because it's kind of like just there's an element of it that's just kind of a cool detective story going on.
Oh, okay.
Like Obi-Wan's subplot is essentially a detective story. He's piecing the clues together. He's following the trail, and it starts very much. But anyways, I'm off track now. No, I want to talk about this because reasons why Attack of the Clones is so unappreciated.
Go on, tell me.
If you've read any Raymond Chandler books, Attack of the Clones with the Obi-Wan story, Attack of the Clones that story is very much like a Raymond Chandler novel. He's on one job. He's been hired to do one thing, and in doing that thing, in doing that job, something unexpected happens, and he gets pulled into a much bigger case. Yeah. As a result, with Phillip Marlow, he would be hired to, follow a suspected cheating husband or track down a husband, who's been like stepping out on his wife, and in doing so will get embroiled in sort of in a fraud case or a murder or things like that. And just from this very simple, and that's how Obi-Wan's story works. They were there to watch Amidala. Yes. Then that weird shape-shifting woman tried to assassinate her, which led them to Jango Fett. And then when Jango Fett killed that assassin, he uses that spear tip thing, goes to talk to his mate Dex, who tells him about Camino, and from where he goes to Camino, he finds out about the clone army, and it's just this detective story that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. The plot thickens and thickens. So I love Star Wars for unexpected reasons. For me, it's not just about the dark side and the light and the Jedi and the Sith, the lightsabers and things like that.
But any good story is about good characters.
Exactly,
and any good characters.
Yeah, and any good story is about a good story. Yes, it's not about It's not about meeting your fan fiction expectations or anything. And I think that's the biggest problem with The Last Jedi. And in a way, that's why it's kind of J.J. Abrams' fault that everybody hates The Last Jedi, because J.J. Abrams always likes to present a mystery box.
Yeah, he kind of lulled all the fans into this way of thinking, or a lot of fans making all these predictions and not verifying them and not unverifying.
This is the problem. Star Wars has never been about. It's never been about this, like, trying to figure out things.
No.
It's never been about trying to, like, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? It's always been about the ride. You know,
you gotta remember, it started off as a children's.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, and the thing is, there's always been like speculation with things, and I
think as fans, though, we ourselves put ourselves in that position because we wanted, it's what we expected, what we wanted, but what we expect wasn't what they wanted to give us.
Wait.
So where were we?
Sorry, we thought we heard our little man, but it turns out there's a dog nearby barking, or we could. I know our son doesn't sound like a dog.
Just sound like a child crying.
In the headphones, all we could hear was ooh, 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 and it could have been like mommy or something. So we just needed to check that out. But what were we saying?
I can't remember, where were we?
We were talking about how The Force Awakens was too much of a mystery box, and that kind of ruined people's expectations.
Yeah, but it was our expectations that ruined our own viewing of it.
But the problem as well is people, they have all these fan theories, okay? And there are so many different fan theories. Which means if any of those fan theories are going to be right, the rest are going to be wrong. And I think the biggest backlash of The Last Jedi is that not only were all the fan theories wrong, but none of them were even close. So it went way, way unexpected. No one had their expectations
met.
But the thing is, there's expectations. There are different types of expectations. And regardless of what it says in your fan fiction and how you think the story should have gone or how the plot should have gone, that's a bloody well-made movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful.
It's beautifully shot.
One of my favourite things about that movie is just how beautiful everything is.
Every shot is just gorgeous.
Yeah, even the side mission quests thing that Finn and Rose go on, that whole city is beautiful. I mean, and what Rose says about it, about looking under the underbelly to see how dirty it is. I loved it. I thought it looks beautiful.
The thing is, I get why that was there. I get what they were trying to show with that side story. I just think that I am with most of the fans on this, where I didn't enjoy that bit. No. But I do think it served quite a lot of important world building purposes. I just think if you wanted, there are other better ways of doing that, because the way the story was going, unless you had Finn and anybody else, you know, regardless of who he's accompanied by, if you just have Finn on the ship with Poe Dameron the whole time, the movie doesn't really go anywhere from that side of the story. You just have them hanging out on the ship waiting for something to happen. So you had to get Finn off of that ship doing something else. You needed to give him a purpose off that ship, just to have the story, something else. Because the thing as well is that without that, his story is actually the only story that has any velocity. For lack of a better way of saying it, because they're on that ship, they're on the Resistance ship, and they're just trying to outpace the Imperial or the First Order. They're trying to just outpace the First Order. So there, it's just kind of a range war. They're sort of just sitting in limbo with each other until they run out of fuel. It's a waiting game. And then Rey and Luke, they're on an island. They're just kind of going back and forth with each other, and there's no real sense of, you know, movement. They're on an island. It's a lot more sort of spiritual, you know, mental and things like that. There's no chase. There's no action. So they needed a story to go with those two that did have hijinks and the action and the adventure and that.
I mean, I mean, there is all Star Wars movies have an adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
And they need it. Yeah, okay, fair enough. They need. If you take that out, there is no adventure really. There isn't anything that they are aiming for except for trying to get away from the First Order.
Yeah, exactly. And that First Order thing, if there was nothing else but those two things, one or the other would have felt boring. But you had the Finn and Rose story that had, you know, running, jumping, climbing things.
Yeah.
Bursting walls and stuff like that. And that's the adrenaline.
But the end of that whole thing, there was a bit of an anticlimax when he has to fight Phasma.
Yeah,
and I think that, I mean, they could have done that so much better.
Why did we only see Phasma there?
Yeah.
Because as well, if you wanted to, what they could have done is had, you know when they go off to, what was the name of that planet? The casino planet, Las Vegas.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Planet Vegas. When they go there, Canto Bite. That was it. When they go there, they could have had Phasma pulling a Boba Fett and trailing them there. Yeah,
they could have made that a lot more interesting completely.
And yeah, exactly. And she could have been Finn's nemesis. But she just pops up. She's in the film all of 3.5 minutes. And then she gets eaten by fire.
Yeah, and that's it. So I mean, if it was dealt with a lot better than it was, then that whole journey with Finn would have been so much more satisfying.
They had an opportunity to do so much more with that.
Yeah, they did, definitely. And they could have done, and they should have done so much more with that. And okay, so the other thing...
I think with that thing, I'm going to sound a bit like a hater here.
Go on.
But I think they rested on their laurels for that one bit, because it was just like, everything else is so fucking good. They didn't give that other bit like a second examination.
Yeah, maybe.
I think they were just so high on their triumphs, as far as like, yes, best script ever, that they didn't realize that they had this massive flaw in their story right there. And a lot of people complain about the Rose kiss.
Yeah, I mean, that looks awkward.
Yeah, and I think that's the point.
Go on, explain.
Because there's this thing in Hollywood, in just movies in general, where if one person, if character A is in love with character B, that automatically character B is in love with character A. Or if character A is in love with character B and character C is in love with character B, there's this assumption that character B is going to conflicted on which way to go. But what if, in that scenario, one of those characters, character A is into character B, character C is into character B is only into character A, and character C doesn't even register on there. And that, I think that's what's going to happen between Finn and Rose. I just think he's just like, I'm just not into you.
You think he's going to friend zone her?
No, because I don't think the friend zone exists. I think either it's just gonna be used as an example of like, sometimes you just gotta just
roll with the punches.
Yeah, sometimes people just aren't into you, or they're gonna go the complete Hollywood route and either turn it into some forced love triangle, which I really hope not.
I really hope not.
Or,
no.
And the other option, which I really hope they don't do, is like Rose betrays them because he broke her heart. Which really kind of reinforces this idea that just because you like someone, they are obligated to like you back. Otherwise, they will rain all hell down on you.
Hell hath no fury. But that goes both ways, though, doesn't it? Really,
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just hope that you handle it with maturity.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I just hope they don't resort to having Rose just throw her toys out of the pram because Finn doesn't feel the same way. And I really hope they don't just try and force it into some weird love triangle.
Yeah.
Because maybe, just to piss off the most conservative of Star Wars fans, they're heading toward a Poe Finn romance. And Rose is there for him to kind of
realize,
or to kind of like confront sexuality, because he's, as a stormtrooper, he's never had a sense of sexuality.
No.
So maybe, he's like, well, I'm expected to, but I don't. I kind of feel more of a pull toward him. So maybe that's where they're going with it. And if they are, I'm on board with that.
Okay, because considering we're talking about Poe at the moment, what his arc in Last Jedi, what did you think of that? I mean,
Okay, I'm just going to say quickly, I have a lot of thoughts on it.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'd much rather hear you talk about it for now, because I just talked for ages about Finn, and I've noticed in these when I edit these, I do most of the talking. So
That's fine, but I like listening to you, and it's fine.
Yeah, but I'm sure people like to hear your opinion as well. In those rare occasions where you actually get a chance. Anyways, so give me your
that whole arc, the whole thing with Poe Dameron, again for me was originally disappointing. For a second time round, in the second time round, it made sense as to why he had to go in that direction. He couldn't be the hero again.
Yeah,
he couldn't actually be because in the first one he's the hero.
No, he's the support hero. I mean, he's the what's the term? The cavalry. Yeah, but Finn and Rey are the heroes.
Yeah.
He's the I wouldn't say he's the hero, but he's amongst heroes.
He is amongst heroes, but in this one he had to take that step back. I think. Because everybody from the first one, everybody was just enamored with Poe. We wanted to see more of Poe.
Yeah.
And I think if that was the case, then Rey and Finn, they would have probably been a bit outcasted from being the main protagonist. Pushed out, yeah, that's it. Would have been pushed out. And we would have cared less about them and more about Poe.
I think
we kind of needed to know what happens with Finn and Rey more than anything else, because that's where the focus of this trilogy is.
So I was really impressed with Poe's story from the get-go.
Okay.
Because in any other film, that beginning bit where he's like...
Oh, the beginning is amazing.
Where he's like, screw orders, and he goes off on a renegade mission, and even though they take down the dreadnought or whatever it's called, he cost a lot of lives.
Yes.
Now, in any other movie, the ends would have justified the means, and he'd still be the hero, and maybe he'd be a little bit haunted by the cost, but the rest of the mission would be about him redeeming himself.
But you see, he wasn't haunted by it.
Yeah, I know, but that's the problem. No matter his mistakes at the beginning, he was never humbled by the ramifications of his decisions. No. But what was amazing about that is it's very rare to see the film itself, or the story, push back against that. Like, no, dude, you don't get to just do whatever the hell you want, and there's no cost to it. There are no consequences, and he just keeps making one bad decision after another, and every time, everyone blames the admiral, the vice admiral, Hondo. Oh wait, hang on, I'm going to pull this up because Laura Dern was absolutely awesome in there. And I'm totally with her on how she played things out.
What, keeping it all close to her chest?
Yeah, I'm with her on that.
Okay.
Oh,
well, I mean, in hindsight, yeah, I can get where you're coming from with that, because telling Poe her plans could have completely, again, like you said, he made such a big mistake that first time round. Having her tell him anything could have led to something else.
She had to weigh up the risks, because the First Order were tracking them through hyperspace, and that's supposed to be impossible.
Yeah.
And Finn and Rose, they figured out how they were tracking them, but they didn't tell anyone.
No.
Vice Admiral Holdo,
there
I was right, and they didn't tell anyone what they figured out. And Poe knew. He didn't tell Holdo.
But do you think he didn't tell her because she didn't tell him?
Well, this is it.
Is that tit
They didn't know what the hell was going on. No one knew what the hell was going on. Vice Admiral Holdo didn't know what was going on, didn't know how the First Order were tracking them. For all she knew, there was a mole
Yeah, that's true.
And even though Poe is this big resistance hero, he fucked up big.
Yes,
he cost them
lives.
big.
Yeah.
That doesn't, and so that sort of, that puts a sort of taint on his reputation. So even though he's this big hero, she doesn't know if she can trust him. So why tell him anything? Why tell anyone anything at this point? You know, it's a need to know. So I get why she didn't tell him. And the whole time he did not trust her enough to just kind of toe the line. He still, even though he just refused to admit he was in the wrong throughout that whole movie.
Yeah, that's very true. But neither of them trusted each other.
And the thing is,
and that was the problem.
A lot of people, and I imagine a lot of people hate the film for that very thing. Like, because in any other film, that sort of the male hero, the macho, the alpha male hero, he still gets to act like that, but he still comes out on top. Whereas in this film, this film made him pay for those mistakes. You know, they showed his mistakes for what they were. They were hubris and arrogance. And
do you think that this would have changed anything about him for the next one? Do you think
I think he has a lot of redeeming to do in the next film. I do think he has a hell of a lot of redeeming to do in the next film. He has to. I don't know. It's like, did you get the sense that in the opening fight, with all those people dying, did you ever get the sense that he was? I mean, he was risking his life, but there was no sense that he intended to give his life for the resistance. No. But everyone with him, you got the sense that they were willing to give their lives for the resistance.
There's that scene with Rose's sister, and you can tell in her face she was going to give her life for the resistance. She was definitely prepared to give her life for the resistance.
Do you ever get that sense from Poe?
No.
He's willing to...
I think he's... Yeah, go on.
He's willing to... In that fight, I got the sense that Poe is the kind of guy at this moment in his life that he's good enough to know that he won't be giving his life, but he takes that for granted. So he's willing to risk everything for the resistance, and by everything he means everyone's lives around him, because he's too good to die. And he needs to. I think in the next film he needs to kind of be confronted with the reality of his stupid, selfish decisions.
But that whole, he did this. He killed. Yeah, but you see, that's amazing because of what Finn is prepared to do for the resistance, and Rose, kind of, Finn was prepared to go forward and
give his life. You are waving your hand horribly close to that mic. Every time you do that, I do the meerkat.
Yeah, Finn gave his life, but you don't. Even in that scene, from what you said, thinking back at that scene, Poe doesn't seem like he's willing to give his life.
He's having the ride of his life. He's like, woo, yeah, BB-8, do it. You know, he's whooping about the place all over, while everyone around him is dying.
Yeah. Okay, so go on.
And going back to Finn and Rose's adventure, like I said earlier, there are much better ways of showing what they wanted to show in that section.
Yeah.
But I think what they showed in that section was very important for understanding the war they are actually fighting. You see there are war profiteers all around. Some people don't give a crap about the resistance versus the First Order.
All they do is paper.
Yeah, they're the people who are neutral. They sell bombs, bullets, and bandages to both sides. And up until that point, for the most part, the Star Wars universe in the main films, I know in the books and things, up until that point in the films, the Star Wars world or reality was very black and white. There's the dark side, the light side. There's the Sith, there's the Jedi. There's the Rebel Alliance and the Empire. There's the First Order, and then there's the Resistance.
Yeah.
And I know in other stories, like in the expanded universe, there's a lot more grey.
Yes.
And I think with this trilogy, they're trying, because the fact that Luke says the Jedi need to end, I think they're heading toward trying to get the universe into a sort of more grey area. Because the problem with light versus dark is that there's going to be a constant struggle. Whereas if you find this sort of middle ground where everything can coexist, like the Jedi and the Sith, that's why I think they're going to be... That's why the whole thing between Kylo and Rey, I think, is going in the direction it is. You know, they're both conflicted, so maybe between the two of them, they find the balance.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Luke actually says that he's seen that power once before, and he wasn't scared then, but this time he terrified.
Powerful, but they're equally conflicted.
Exactly. I mean, you're talking about Rey and her learning...
Mary Sue.
Yeah, Rey. And of Rey. And
just for the record, I don't think she's a Mary Sue.
No. She's
as much a Mary Sue as Luke was in the original trilogy. You know, if Luke can do it, why can't she? Is it just because she's a girl?
I hope not. I mean, I wish people would stop doing that. A Jedi is a Jedi in the expanded universe.
I'm not talking about the Jedi thing. I'm talking about how, you know, she's a good pilot. She's a good engineer. She knows her.
She knows her shit.
She knows her shit because
she really does.
I mean,
you know, look in the first one when you know she's on the Millennium Falcon and she's basically riffing with Han. And they're talking about the actual ship and what they're going to do, and because blah 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 blah. Yeah. And they're just he's
like,
I like this kid.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, the only reason she knows ships that well is because she spent most of her life salvaging them. Yeah. She knows which bits are useful and which bits aren't. She knows where they go because she needs to know where to find them when she's looking inside a ship. You know, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, completely. I mean, yeah, and she's smart, and she works on her feet, and she can fight. I mean, she can defend herself. We see.
She lives on on a scavenger planet. Of course, she can fight. If she couldn't fight, she would have been victimized, like literally on a daily basis.
Exactly.
Everything she knows because she needed to know it to survive. Yeah. So, and yet Luke grows up on a moisture farm, sort of the middle class upbringing. You know, if you think about it. So I was going over to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. You know, he's just like, oh, Dad, I want to ride around with my friends in my speeder. Oh man, we were gonna go to Lookout Point. Oh man, you know, he had a very middle class upbringing. He didn't need to survive.
No, he didn't.
And yet, no one questioned his abilities. No one questioned the fact that he was hitting womp rats in his T-16, and they're much smaller than the exhaust port of the Death Star. And, you know, it's no one ever fucking questions his skills and his abilities, and his ability to pick up these Jedi skills so quickly. But you give Rey the same sort of growth, but from a much better foundation.
More grounded.
Yeah, she's got a more grounded foundation. Yeah. She has a reason to know how to do all of this stuff. But everyone's like, oh, what a Mary Sue. Oh, she can do everything. She has no problems. She has no flaws. Yeah, she's got flaws. She is
tempted. If you're going by...
She's codependent.
Yep.
You know, stubbornness is a good thing, but she's very naive. And she's also... There's that codependence will be her downfall. So she has flaws that could spell her downfall. So no, she's not a Mary Sue.
No, she isn't. Not at all. We're talking about her and her following the dark side and going into the pit and you know, and that whole mirror scene.
Yeah.
And the question was, I want you to show me my parents. That was seeing that the second time round was actually a bit more profound for me.
Yeah, you said you got a different meaning out of it.
I did. Basically, you know, you as a person, you are the amalgamation of your parents, and when she says,
"Show me my
parents," you get to see her. So that made, in my head, complete and utter sense.
She raised herself.
She raised herself.
It doesn't. Yeah, the thing is as well, the fan backlash, a lot of it puts too much weight on this idea of bloodlines and destiny, and you know, when we first, Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, see, I'd like you to talk about this because we spoke about this off air, and what you said was really, really interesting about how the two actually marry up.
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker and Rey essentially have very similar backstories.
Yeah.
So,
excluding
Rey,
midichlorians.
Okay, yeah, let's get rid of okay. The whole problem they have with Rey is that her parents are nobodies. She doesn't come from this illustrious bloodline. She's not a Kenobi. She's not a Skywalker. She's not a Solo. She's none of the. She's not even a Calrissian. She's nobody. And the fact is, regardless, and the fact is, the only reason people were theorizing about. I mean, the fact before Rogue One came out, everyone thought that. What's her bloody name in Rogue One? We've only seen it once.
Yeah,
so. But
that should tell you a lot.
Yeah. But everyone thought that just because they hired a British actress, that somehow she was related to
They all
Rey,
thought she was her mum.
Until it turned out that everyone in that movie dies. Mm-hmm. Oh, spoiler alert. So, and if I think people would have been less pissed off, or maybe, I don't know, people are always pissed off about one thing or another. If they told us in The Force Awakens that her parents were nobodies, would they be as upset about it now? But the point is that Anakin Skywalker came from nothing. His mother was a slave. Yeah. And his father were midichlorians. He has no father. He came literally from nothing. He just it was an immaculate conception between his mother and the Force. And so no one had any issues with that. People had a lot of issues with Episode 1, but that was probably the one thing no one had an issue with.
I wonder if anybody's actually thought about that, and if anybody else, because I've not seen it. We watch a lot of YouTube and stuff like that. I've not really seen anyone make that point.
But that's it, and then so begins the Skywalker legacy. And so what if Rey's no one? Does our bloodline matter?
No.
Why should our bloodline distinguish us? Why should that
decide what our future is going to be?
Why can't somebody who isn't part of a dynasty forge their own path, forge a great path? I mean, Anakin Skywalker did it. He went from slave boy to Darth Vader.
Yep.
Luke Skywalker did it. He did it from a moisture farm boy to Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Now, why can't Rey achieve the same thing?
No, it's true.
And if you're, whatever you think of the Star Wars films, ask yourself why Rey can't achieve the same thing. Given that, they all come from backsand desert planets.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They all come from. They had to survive from a young age, whether it was like survive in slavery or survive against the elements or survive as an orphan. Mm-hmm. They all had to survive, and they all began their journey from from essentially the same place. Which is why I love the that Star Wars Identities thing we went to.
Oh yes, that was really cool.
Yeah,
I had a really good time. This was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, the O2.
Yeah, we had a really good time, and they kind of make you take these questions and these tests, and you go through the whole exhibition, and you just have to answer all these questions to figure out whether or not you will become a Jedi or a Sith. It was a lot of fun to do.
Well, no, it was the Jedi Sith thing was a definitive yes or no thing.
Yeah.
Because at the end, Palpatine asks you to join the dark side, and you get to decide. But you answer a bunch of questions about your upbringing and what kind of parents you had, and what planet you grew up, and what conditions you grew up in, and what race you grew up as. And it creates this character for you that has like a history like join them, whether or not and some of it you make decisions, and then you go to the next place, and your character has developed more into a different direction. But and the whole point of that, the whole basis of that is, and they kept showing it, is the fact that Anakin and Luke, they both grew up on Tatooine, but their lives went in very, very different directions.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think it should be about legacy or going that route. And besides, you've already got one character in that vein in Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Kylo Ren is the antithesis. I think that's
and you don't need your protagonist to kind of. You need that conflict between the two.
Yeah, because another thing it's supposed to be the Skywalker saga.
And he is that saga.
Yeah, he is the next stage of the Skywalker saga. The only difference is he's now on the other side. He's the antagonist, not the protagonist.
Just as in the the second trilogy, I would say, but
the prequel trilogy,
where Anakin became Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So he's in that kind of vein.
See, he's doing the reverse journey, I think. Where they all started on the light side, and then when Anakin started on the light side and went
dark.
Yeah. Is this Ren's journey into the light? Because he's conflicted.
He is.
And
I mean, the thing is, no matter his father.
No matter which way they go next one, half the audience are going to hate it. If he sticks to the dark side, half the audience are going to be like, yeah, but it looked like they were showing a redemption, like, he's going to go to the light side, blah, 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 blah. And then if he does go to the light side, there's going to be another half going, like, why can't he just stick to the light? He was doing, blah, 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 blah. It's not, either way, half the audience are going to complain.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't have a preference.
No.
Because each one would add something more to the story or take something else away from it.
I mean, yeah, but look, if you're looking for that, going from the good side to the bad, going from the bad side to the good side, you have to look at Avatar. They did that so well with Zuko.
Yeah, and Zuko,
and Zuko's great, and he's conflicted.
And he didn't have to kill his dad.
And he didn't have to kill his dad. No,
he sent a 12-year-old bald kid to do it.
Well, he didn't kill him either.
I know, but he still sent that 12-year-old bald kid after his dad.
Well, he did try, but then
no, he didn't. He didn't try and kill his father. No, because remember, like. Okay, the Agni Kai, he refuses to fight his father.
Yes.
At the solar eclipse, he says to his father, he's not here to fight him. That's not his destiny.
Yeah. No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But then
he fights his sister.
Yeah,
And he still needs Katara's help for that.
But, if we're talking about that kind of arc,
redemption
arc, that for me is the perfect one. So
I'd like to do an episode on redemption arcs.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I have a lot of thoughts on Spike's redemption arc.
Oh, okay.
And I really just want to just tear that guy apart.
Spike is a horrible, horrible person.
No, I don't want to get into that right now because I will just go off on one.
But yeah, but I would like to see them go that way, because then it would mean that this nine film arc actually becomes this whole circle if you put the whole thing together.
Or what if they do a red sun? They pull a red sun, and at the end it turns out that they're stuck in a time loop. Because Star Wars Rebels just introduced time travel into the Star Wars universe in their final season, which we still need to watch.
Yes, we do.
But they introduced time travel into the series now. So their time travel exists within the Star Wars universe now. The thing is as well, this is going to be my last point because we've been speaking about this for a long. One of the big complaints from the fans is since the new trilogy's launch, a lot of the extended universe got struck from canon and is now known as Star Wars Legends. And the film even addresses that.
Yeah, it does.
Because Luke says that everything everyone's heard about the Jedi and they've heard legends of things, but they didn't happen like that. A lot of that stuff did happen, but that's not how it happened. And I like that because it means that they are, for future projects, they are able to draw from that wider canon.
Yeah,
they might be able to take, very much like the MCU, cherry pick story ideas and characters
from the actual graphic novels. Yeah, it's true.
And they can start doing that with the films now. So
and that's put them in such a great position in terms of storytelling because they could. I mean, they're doing the the Han Solo movies and all the independent movies.
Yeah, but I don't
want
to see like origins of every other character.
No. But what I'm saying is that they can pick, and they don't have to make it part of the whole universe. They can cherry pick stories and make it part of the modern time, like their modern time in their timeline.
Yeah, the thing is, the fans as well. They are fan expectations is keeping Star Wars in this very sort of very small, very narrow story.
Yeah.
There is the Star Wars universe. The Star Wars universe does not revolve around the Skywalkers.
No, it doesn't.
And but the thing is, the moment they start trying to tell other stories, the fans are like, why can't we get a Ben Kenobi movie? And
you were saying earlier, how you think that Rey and they're going through this kind of grey area in the actual books and the wider universe. You have Jedi that kind of bend. You have the grey Jedi that bend. That kind of reality. They kind of are on the good side, but use the dark side.
Well, they recognise that the light and the dark are in all of us.
Yes.
And to try and eradicate one throws everything out of balance.
Which makes complete sense if you look at all the actual characters that are in that position.
Because this idea of the balance in the Force, which is what's always been sort of my philosophical gripe with Star Wars as a whole, is they're constantly talking about the balance in the Force. And the only way you can actually have balance in the Force is if you have an equal number of Sith and Jedi.
Yeah.
And they are not at war with each other. They keep each other in check. You know how like in that Russian movie, Day Watch and Night Watch, they keep each other in check.
Yeah.
That's what they're and that's what true balance in the Force would look like. But that's never going to happen. So that's why the grey
ego
Jedi.
And hubris and
exactly. The Jedi are just as arrogant, if not more, than the Sith.
Yeah, the Jedi are not.
The prequel trilogy is about the Jedi's downfall due to their own arrogance and short-sightedness.
God, they're not this kind of angelic, really, really good people that just do.
That
really,
never make
really
mistakes.
Make no mistake. Yeah, exactly. They're none of.
Well,
Luke in Jedi actually addresses that.
Jedi
fact.
or Last Jedi?
Last Jedi. And Last Jedi actually addresses that fact as well. He acknowledges the fact that he made mistakes.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people hated. One of the other things that people hated really most about that movie is when he pulls his lightsaber on a sleeping Kylo Ren. And people forget that Jedis are still fallible.
Yeah.
And he says it was a fleeting moment. Fleeting. It wasn't like this all-consuming thought that he'd been carrying around for days and days and days. It was a fleeting moment. And as soon as his lightsaber, as soon as he turned on his lightsaber, that thought disappeared and was replaced by shame. It was a very human mistake. And these people hate this. That he's not my Luke because he made a mistake. And he acknowledged it. And the thing is, this is how fallible he is as well. When he first told Rey, he told her a very unbalanced version of that story.
Yes, he did.
He painted himself as very innocent in that. And then when he actually told the real story, he was like, because you understand that he was ashamed of that moment.
I mean, and as human beings, we can and have done that.
People don't like to see characters like Poe and like Poe and like Luke making mistakes. No. And if they make mistakes, then the film is badly written.
But then if they make mistakes, they make them human. They make them like more like you and me and more relatable because they are like you and me.
Yeah, exactly. And Yoda even says,
care about them.
And Yoda even says the greatest teacher is failure. Which I've been telling you for absolutely ages.
This is true. He has. It's a very touchy subject.
When Yoda said that, I was like,
slapping me on the arm
when
like
Yoda
I
said
did
that,
with this bruise.
I was like, well, shit! I've been saying exactly that for years. I'm as wise as Yoda.
Wiser, Master Tom.
All right, I think we've spoken enough about the Last Jedi. I mean, we could talk Last Jedi.
We could actually. All right. So I have one more point, and the last point is to do with that tweet that went around regarding Luke and the projection and how, you know, in the very first movie, Leia projects herself to Luke regarding Obi-Wan, the mirroring. bit regarding that, and then in Last Jedi,
It ends
with him
Yeah, 'cause
projecting.
that's it. The first time he sees her, he sees her as a projection. And the last time she sees him as a projection.
That
Beautiful.
I didn't catch that until I read it, and when I saw that tweet, I thought, hell yeah,
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful way to kind of end their relationship. This whole movie is for me is all about beginnings and endings.
Yeah.
Ending
one chapter.
Yeah, ending one chapter, beginning a new one. And everyone in this movie, it's all about the older cast dying. These last two movies have been about getting rid of the not the history,
No,
but
the old guard.
Yeah, to getting rid of the old guard to bring in the new. You know, and I think in the movie they actually say that 3 or 4 times.
Yes, exactly.
At some point, one way or another.
Time to let the old die.
Yeah.
Even Kylo Ren says.
Even Kylo says
sometimes you have to kill the past. Sometimes you have to kill the past.
Exactly, and I think, you know, but for the third, you know, I think that will bring in the next phase so well. And I think it's a great way of actually doing it.
Absolutely.
You know, and warning us fans about that fact and saying, look, we've given you your, you know, your nostalgia trip. We've given you,
exactly.
We've given you the fans what they wanted to see, the ending. Well, okay, not all the endings of what we wanted, fine, but you know, at least we're getting a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, and just because something isn't as you expected doesn't mean, just because you weren't able to guess the ending doesn't mean the ending was bad.
No, exactly. I think.
And the thing is, that whole thing of like, if you can't guess the ending, then the ending is bad. But if you can guess the ending,
that means
the ending is bad.
It means the movie's bad. It means that the movie's predictable.
Yeah, exactly. If you know how the film is going to end before you've even started watching it, that's a bad story.
Yeah, completely. Why would you go and see a movie you know the ending to?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you've read the book, but that's a completely different issue.
Yeah, but it's just stupid. It's just stupid. There was one thing I wanted to say. How do you think they're going to handle Leia in the next film? We got so emotional.
Oh, God.
On screen. We were both crying. That bit where Laura Dern, where Holdo's like, "May the Force be with you always." We're both sitting here just dabbing our eyes like, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful and sad." And oh my God.
In the cinema, I couldn't stop. Every time Carrie Fisher was on screen, I couldn't help it. I just cried. I had to shed a tear. I couldn't help it. The emotion was just overwhelming. But sorry, what was the question?
How they handle Carrie Fisher. Do you think she'll just kind of?
Part of me hopes that she's.
If you were writing the script, how would you handle it?
Delicately. No, well, I'm hoping because she wasn't in.
No, answer my question. If you were writing the script, what would, regardless of what's going to happen in the movie, if you were writing the script, if you and I were working on this, how would you? What would you do?
I don't know. That's really hard. It's a really hard question for me to answer. Because right now she's with them. And it's either that they're going to do... what usually happens in circumstances like this is that they do like and this is to say goodbye to our Commander-in-Chief. Oh, God.
I would start with a funeral. I would start the film with her funeral. Aww. I would start the film with her funeral, but how she died or whatever, I don't know if
would you explain that in the movie then, about how she passed away,
or maybe because which one was it? It's Attack of the Clones.
Go on.
It starts with Queen Amidala or Senator Amidala pulling into her ship landing, and then as she steps out, it blows up, and it turns out it's a decoy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything as ham-fisted as that. Maybe instead of showing the moment, how she was killed, just start with
the funeral.
The funeral. Don't show it. Acknowledge it, but don't show it.
I think that would have more of an impact as well.
Otherwise, they're going to have to do the composite face thing.
Yeah, no, that really hasn't worked for many movies, has it?
It worked in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, and it worked in Avengers.
Well, it's worked in all the MCU movies. Every time they've used it in the MCU, it's worked pretty well. So maybe, since it's both Disney, maybe they can... but then again, Rogue Rogue One had
Tarkin.
had Tarkin and Leia, and it all looked really strange. The uncanny valley in there was quite prevalent. Okay, I think we should wrap this one up now. So
for me, second viewing, definitely a movie I'm going to watch again, and I preferred it on the smaller screen because it just allowed me to focus more.
Yeah, it's in my top 3.
There?
Yeah, it's in my top 3.
Wow, that's saying something. Okay,
yeah,
that was...
So, which one do you want to do first? Do you want to get your homework assignment, or do you want to tell us what's been happening with Liverpool this week?
Okay, let's go and do the Liverpool one first.
Okay.
Can we do that first?
All right. I can hear excitement in your voice. Try not to shriek into the microphone.
Right.
Use your tempered voice. Just bring it down.
I can't.
Just
when it comes to Liverpool,
come on with me. Just bring it down. So I have to edit this afterwards. So
You're just gonna hear me
and
screaming.
all the football bits. Generally, they nearly deafen me. So let's just bring this down. Right, just do nighttime radio voice. Just kind of lean in and just talk very quietly.
I don't. Not when it comes to Liverpool. I get too excited. No, not do it. But there we go. Right. So let's start with today. Because I've got so much more to say. We beat, I think it was Bournemouth 3-0 today. Bournemouth 3-0. I don't know what the Man City Tottenham score is at the moment because I think they've just finished. So I'll check all that afterwards.
What was it when you last checked?
Oh, it's 0-0 because they hadn't even started.
Oh,
so it was.
You could have just said they hadn't started. You didn't have to make me feel like an idiot.
Sorry, it was 0-0. But so again, Mohamed Salah again, 40th goal of the season. This is my boy, and I'm praying this guy does not want to leave us because Liverpool have this knack of nurturing players, and then all of a sudden they're off. And off they go, and that's it. But it's happened. We've had Coutinho go, and he went to Barcelona, and they're out of the Champions League, but we're not. Woohoo! Because we beat Man City again.
Who did you draw in the
Champions League? We drew Roma, which is...
Yes, I know. Neil was saying you're very lucky you didn't draw Real Madrid because they got Bayern Munich instead.
Yeah, they have. Well, I mean, I've
been trying to keep up a little bit. I've been asking Neil at work. He's just talking me through some points.
Oh, good.
So...
But we got Roma. But the great story about this is Mohamed Salah. Liverpool bought Mohamed Salah from Roma. So again, this is going to be another interesting.
Is this a two-leg thing where they play at home and then away? So when they play at Roma, that's going to be tense.
That's going to be tense. Well, we're going to see how that's going to go.
Yeah.
And Italy, I mean, Liverpool.
And Italy's kind of racist as it is, so so it's going to be tough. A guy named Mohamed. Playing in Italy at a team he used to play for. I can imagine it's going to be.
I mean, in Champions League, everyone's saying this is the most easiest draw. We should be able to beat them because they're not doing that well. Blah 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 blah. But in Champions League is a very different kettle of fish, and there are no easy games. If you get to the quarterfinals, there are no easy games. Everyone is out there.
Yeah, everyone's at their peak.
Yeah, everybody just wants to get to that final. Semi-final, you're in the semi-final. What do you want to do? You want to win. So both teams will push, but they're probably going to fear us a bit more because of our forwards, and our back line's not been too bad either. Have to admit, they've been really good lately.
I like your back line. I've always been a fan of your back line.
The innuendo start. But yeah, I'm very proud of it.
I've held off for quite a while. I mean, we've been recording for an hour and 26 minutes, so...
But yeah, so I'm proud of my boys. They're doing really, really well at the moment. Klopp is great at what he's doing. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks.
Do you know what your team needs? Your team desperately needs someone named Clip.
I hate you. Go away.
Can you imagine? And they always put them together. They always put Clip Klopp together.
Klopp is our manager, so I don't understand where Clip's going to come.
Oh, well, that shows how much I know. Maybe in all the photos they can put Clip Klopp together.
No.
Anyway.
And relax. No. Do not wind me up about this.
I love taking the piss out of football player names. It's one of my favourite things to do. Yeah.
There are some funny and great
Every
names.
time I sit down and every time I sit down and watch football with you, about 20 minutes in, you just want to strangle me.
Yeah, usually. Yeah, usually, yes, that's very true. I do want to...
Yeah, you just want to throttle me by about 20 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
So
then he just puts his headphones on and watches Twitch, just so that I don't.
Yeah. I just watch Twitch instead. We'll get on with some work. So your homework assignment.
Yes, what's my homework assignment? What do you think of me keeping up with my homework assignments?
I'm quite impressed. Though every now and then, well, the first couple of times I had to kind of push you, but last time you were on it straight away. You need to get on with your other homework assignments, which is helping me manage all the online content.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. You do your homework assignment, and you're like, that's it. That's all I need to do.
That's what I'm doing. That's me. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'll stay up and edit everything and do all the descriptions and tagging and things and marketing. And
so what's my?
Okay, I'll just go sit here and I'm just gonna do this on my own now. Good night.
Night. Alright, so what's my homework assignment this week?
Your homework assignment this week is to read one of my favourite graphic novels of recent times. I think it was the favourite graphic novel I bought last year, and that was Skottie Young's I Hate Fairyland.
Oh yes, I've read a couple of pages of that. I think I've kind of
out there, isn't it? It's really dark.
Yeah, I've read a couple.
Funny as hell.
I've read a couple of bits.
Yeah,
but yeah. Skottie Young and his artwork is just so interesting.
I love his artwork. It's just such cool artwork.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll be looking forward to this one. Considering you made me read that thing, Black Summer, it's quite nice to
immediately after we finished recording, I was like, oh man, there were other ones you could have read instead that were so much better, so much cooler.
But look, it's been great to read something that I wasn't particularly a fan of.
Yeah, it gives you a good gauge of what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, it really has. So the fact that it's Skottie Young and I love his artwork, and that is just enough to pull me into this one already. So I'm quite happy to do it.
It was a toss-up between that, or it was either that or Rocket Raccoon Volume 1, which Skottie Young did the artwork on.
Nice.
Which that's the book that really made me fall in love with Skottie Young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the way his use of onomatopoeia. But yeah, so that's your homework.
Right. Okay. Okay. This one I'm definitely looking forward to.
So yeah. So that's it
really. For today, I guess.
So if people want to find us, they can find me on Twitter at Frenchy Balls.
I'm at Amara Lives.
No, it's Amara_secrets.
Oh, gotta change that.
Yeah. It's Amara_secrets. Because I've been managing all of your social media. Thank you very much. I'm managing it all. If you want to find us on YouTube, it's the French-Patels, or you can find my channel, which is Tom French. We'll leave links down below for everything. If you fancy buying Last Jedi or any of the things we've spoken about today, there's an Amazon affiliate link down below. You use that link, copy and paste it, click on it, whatever you need to do. Takes you to Amazon. Everything costs you the same, but somehow Amazon figured out a way of giving us something in return.
Nice. That was nice of them.
Yeah, it was very
nice of them.
There's our Patreon as well. At the moment, we've only got.
It's all very basic at the moment, but we are expanding, and the more of you.
And even though Tier 1 is the only one that's there at the moment, Tier 1 is going to grow as well as we add more tiers. Tier 1 will grow. So, even if
we've got some exciting things coming ahead.
Yeah, so, we've got some cool. When this video goes up, it's going to be the first weekend of June. It's first Sunday of June. So by that point, we would have moved into our new place. That would be about the time we're moving into our new place.
About the time, hopefully.
And once we've kind of settled in, we'll be able to start producing more content. We have some videos lined up. But yeah, rate us, recommend us.
Hi.
Recommend us.
Hi.
Yeah, come say hi to us on Twitter or whatever. We're going to start doing like votings and things like that in the future. So if
there's anything that you want us to talk about or think we haven't watched or maybe you should watch,
recommend some stuff for us to watch or read or play. We haven't done a one on games yet, I think.
No, we haven't.
So maybe next week we should do one on a game. We could just talk about a game.
We could talk about a game. Oh, we could do a mixture of two and do Assassin's Creed. Because there are good games and there are really bad games.
Yeah, we could just talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about Assassin's Creed next week.
Just a whole kind of
movie. As a thing. No, I don't want to talk about the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to do that as a separate thing.
Okay.
I want to do a video for that, and there's a separate podcast I want to do
fair enough.
for that. I've got the plans.
Viti, you're not... Okay, go on, go.
What were you going to say?
Nothing.
You were going to say something really corny, weren't you? Like a proper mum joke, weren't you?
It's fine, it doesn't matter.
Alright. Well, thanks for keeping with us this whole time. I'm sorry if we offended anybody.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed it. I mean, these are our thoughts. It's what we're
entitled to them.
Yeah, and we're
just
entitled.
As you're entitled to your thoughts, even though yours are wrong. No, I'm kidding. No, they are wrong. No, they're not. Don't worry. Yeah, they are. No, they're not wrong. You're entitled to your own opinion.
This is
even
when it's wrong.
Even when it's wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Anyway.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You're wrong.